been given a second chance.
Guide us. Lead us.
I don't want your future! We were supposed to protect them!
Well, I've never really felt the X-Men movies are classic popcorn movies in the American term, because they've always had a much higher-minded sort of goal in a way, or ambitions to be having something to say on themes which I think are fantastic, and particularly for teenagers.
I've always been very fond of, resist the word franchise, the continuing story of X-Men, because it's not just a spectacular movie of special effects in a fantasy world. That's all at the service of a rather human story of how does society treat its minorities, and what is it like to be in a minority when society is at odds with you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Hello. Thank you for coming. With this weapon, there will be no human collateral damage. If I turn it on, the system couldn't even activate in here. Unless there's a mutant.
We came along in first class and suddenly there was an X-Men movie without Wolverine. And it was a case of, how's this going to work? And Michael and I were a bit like, we better make it work. And of course, our relationship kind of formed a new spine to that particular story. So, but to have him, to have that guy, that backbone of the X-Men until first class come into your movie was really exciting. I mean, you know, he is like the flame of X-Men, you know, and he turned the heat up to continue that metaphor.
Professor?
You're gonna find this hard to believe.
I was sent here for you.
From the future?
50 years from now.
Could you give me that one more time, please?
Stay with me.
If you imagine, one of the great conceits in this movie is my character is actually carrying around the mind from the future in his younger body. So he actually wakes up. I'm not sure if I'm meant to tell you this, but I'm telling you now. He wakes up in his apartment in New York City in the 70s. So I don't know about you, I'm only 45, but if I right now woke up in my student digs in Perth, you know, that would be freaky enough in itself. But it's sort of amazing to interact with people with knowledge of the future with a very particular goal. So you know you have to get something, but you need to convince others because every action you make affects the future.
Tell whoever it was that sent you, I'm busy.
The person who sent me was you.
He doesn't really believe anymore, and that's the thing, isn't it? That's what's fun about it. We turned Charles on his head a little bit in the first movie, in that we showed him being a glass breaker and somebody who really didn't care about the rules and all that, and was very self-obsessed, actually, when he was always so monkish and selfless before. But showing him now actually being the polar opposite of what he has always been before, which is somebody who believed in others, believed in himself, believed in the cause, never gave up, but he doesn't believe. And that's quite sad, actually. So you've got to try and find the route to giving him his belief again.
How did you lose them?
The treatment for my spine affects my DNA.
You sacrificed your powers so you could walk.
What do you know about it?
I've lost my fair share.
Huh. Dry your eyes, Eric. It doesn't justify what you've done.
You've no idea what I've done.
I know that you took the things that mean the most to me.
Well, maybe you should have fought harder for them.
It's a very different Professor Xavier than I've ever known before. So this is really his crisis, where he could really go off the rails. In fact, he's very much off the rails at the beginning of this movie. So it's his, what Wolverine's been called on to do, and in the relationship between him and all the other characters, what I like about it is he's not just being sent in there to slice and dice and take people's heads off and, you know, just force things into happening, but he's having to be somewhat of a politician or a mentor or a motivator, which I wouldn't have said were his natural skills.
So, I wake up in my younger body, and then what?
Find me. Convince me of all of this. It's going to take the two of us.
And where do I find you?
A different path. A darker path.
I haven't seen the completed film, but I've seen the rather spectacular trailer, and at one point, Fassbender as Magneto in the familiar helmet is, with gestures that I can recognize, is destroying his environment, a stadium that he seems to be in the middle of. And then they photograph him from behind. It could be me. And so, in a sense, he and I are genuinely sharing the part. And I think perhaps when these effects happen, people aren't going to say, oh, that's Fassbender, oh, that's McKellen. No, it's not. It's Magneto.
You know, I took over from Patrick in First Class, and I thought that was it. I thought they were gone. But having a scene with him in this one, bringing him back, actually feels like the baton gets passed over a little bit. And that felt quite ceremonial, strangely. And because it was quite a ceremonial setting. We were in a monastery, and it was very low lights, and it felt all a little bit like I was being, even though I've played Charles before, it was like I was being initiated, do you know what I mean, by some weird mutant stroke actor sect.
We need you to hope again.
Well, I don't think I was half so surprised to be asked back into the world of X-Men as Patrick Stewart was, because Professor Xavier was resoundingly destroyed by Jean Grey. I saw him shattered in the studio as well as on the screen, but magically back to life he came, where neither of us had expected it, but very pleased to be still in employment, apart from anything else.
All those years wasted fighting each other, Charles.
Honestly, to be able to go and have scenes with Jennifer Lawrence or Michael Fassbender or McAvoy or Nicole, all these great actors, and then obviously in the future, all the other actors playing the same characters, it was pretty amazing. And it's you won't be surprised because you know Bryan Singer's movies, and X-Men fans know, and they saw what he did with 1 and particularly with 2, how he loves intricacies of big casts and big ensembles. He likes to make it, he doesn't serve it to you all on a platter, he likes you to actually work it out a little himself. And if you add to that the mechanics and the rules of a time travel movie, which he's a massive fan of as well. So he's trying to make a definitive time travel movie as well as a definitive kind of superhero movie. So he had a lot at stake, which I think is important for any of us, you know?
You'll need to go into the past to end this war before it ever begins.
He's a wonderful storyteller, and he cares a lot about his audience. He often refers to them while he's filming. It's the same with Peter Jackson on Lord of the Rings. What will they think? And they as concerned cinema goers.
Everyone involved, Simon Kinberg, Bryan Singer, all these people, and Lauren Donald, all these people love the comic book and actually see their role as a great responsibility beyond making money for the studio and making something of value, making something that has something to say. Ian McKellen, Patrick Stewart, these guys don't just do it because they want to have a job.
It was a bit like going to a family reunion and discovering, oh, I've got some young cousins I haven't met before. All on the same side, you know, all nervous together, all friendly together. Though I wasn't part of the hijinks that Fassbender and McAvoy clearly get up to when they're working together on set. That's their sort of relationship. Patrick and I are rather staged, for example.
I remember.
Yeah, it's doing it together. That's what it's all about. There's a line in Gods and Monsters, a favourite film of mine, in which I played James Whale, the English film director out there in Hollywood in the 30s. And he's given a line by Christopher Bram. Making movies is the most wonderful thing in the world. Working with friends, entertaining people.